Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I'm your host, RC. I am joined by my co-host here, Jeff. Happy Tuesday, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's a good weekend, so doing real good to start the week.
Yeah, what a week of sports we had with the NFL, with Formula One, really firing on all cylinders. Do not forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We are on YouTube. It's the Mixer channel. Check us out. You can see our lovely faces. And follow us on social media at FCY Mixer, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, which I don't think I've ever done anything on, but it's there. Once we grow the hashtag brand, we'll have more actions there. Jeff's still working on our OnlyFans. And yeah, so that's where to find us on Twitter primarily. Usually it's just me tilting. So yeah, I mean, if that's your thing, if you're a tilting sicko, you know where to go. All right. Speaking of tilts, Jeff, I mean, this always feels like a formality, but you got a tilt this week?
I actually don't. This week was pretty easy for me. Fantasy football went really well. Nothing. I could have had a tilt had last night gone a little bit differently, and Dak and Amari had a few touchdowns kind of thing, but they didn't. So no real threat to the teams I was playing against, or the teams that I had that were playing against them. So yeah, pretty good. No huge tilts from me. So I'll let you take over.
Well, okay. So since I mean, you're on top of your shit. And I'm a hot mess. It would seem. Do you got a worse start of the week maybe for fantasy? Any regrettable calls? I mean, even if you got a win, just in retrospect, do you have one where you're like, that was a bad idea?
To be honest, this week, not really. I got a little unlucky with a couple players, AJ Brown and James White. Played both of them separate leagues, but in our dynasty league, I have AJ Brown, traded for him in the offseason. He's been a little underwhelming so far, and then he got me 0.3 points on Sunday because he left early with a hamstring injury. Obviously, but those are not. I don't really regret those kind of decisions because there's not much you can do about those, right? Like, injuries happen. They're unlucky, unfortunate, but, it is what it is kind of thing. So I can't even say I have that this week. I do kind of regret not trading you Clyde. But
we got 100 yards.
I know Clyde was solid, but I think I'm fine with where I'm at, but I do enjoy Claypool and LaVisca, so part of me wishes I had made that trade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what can you do? I mean, it must be nice, Jeffrey. I have a bad start, which can get the tilts off. And I ended up winning this matchup, but I kind of went against one of my philosophies that more like guidelines than hard and set rules. But yeah, I had Justin Fields and I had Baker on a team, and I had Baker in there, and I was like, just hearing everything about Fields, I was like, oh, well, he's going to run for at least 60 yards. So, he's got the floor, and plus he's, got touchdown upside, blah, blah, blah. So easily could fall into a 20-point game pretty easily if he looked competent. And yeah, I mean, the Bears barely had over 50 yards of total offense in that game, and they had one drive where they were actually leading that game. They were up 3-0 early, but yeah, they played the Browns, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was just like, that was a mistake. Maybe wait till you see it with rookie quarterbacks, especially. I mean, we had seen it in the preseason; he was ripping it up, but
yeah. So my thing with Fields, he was probably the one rookie quarterback I wasn't particularly happy to get ever. And I love Justin Fields. I think he's going to be really good. But I think his rushing ability is overrated. Yes, he's extremely fast for a quarterback. I think he's like a 4.4 guy, something like that, right? But if you look at what he did at Ohio State, now granted, this could be because their receivers were pretty good. A lot of times they're not playing teams that are equal to them, but he didn't run the ball a whole lot. So I always kind of thought his rushing might have been a little overrated. But I actually did kind of the opposite of you in that you started Fields on Sunday hoping he would get, kind of luck into or fall into 20 points. And everywhere I could, I picked up the Browns defense because Fields was starting and just said, here you go. So I actually probably got a couple wins because of that, because they ended up getting me around 20 points in pretty much every league.
Well, there you go.
Also did the same with the Broncos, who got similar because they shut out the Jets. Sorry, this is an opposite of tilts section for me.
Yeah,
but I sat Zach Wilson for Robert Woods in our Superflex league. And even though Robert Woods didn't have a great game, he still doubled Zach Wilson's points. So that turned out to be a decent call.
Yeah, I mean, you're the Randy Marsh gif or Randy Marsh meme with your balls in a wheelbarrow with that call. But I mean, props to you. So maybe stilts and tilts. I keep like you're up high in the air and but if you're on stilts and you fall. Anyway, we'll workshop that stilts and tilts. But yeah, I mean, believe it or not, that wasn't even on my tilt list. I just thought about it to try to help you come up with a tilt. Maybe you made a bad start, but no, just another week as a straight white male.
It just happened to be a good week. I've had tilts before this season, playing Zach Wilson last week instead of somebody else.
Yeah. Anywho, so tilt number one, rest in peace, the Padres. God damn it. We'll always have those games, those early season wins and all the parades we threw for beating the Dodgers, in the spring. So maybe the real Padres 2020 playoff run was the friends we made along the way. Except Padres Twitter. Fuck those savages. I hate them.
I can't even tilt this with you because my Yankees look like they're set to make the wild card. And I thought I was going to be tilting this with you and that the Yankees weren't going to make the playoffs. But it appears they still have a pretty good shot at that. So I'm not quite there with you yet.
Jeff, what are we going to do, man? We need some more adversity in your life. My other tilt, Home Depot. I went to bat for Home Depot recently, and they really let me down. So I picked out a carpet, and they're like, oh, that's a commercial carpet, but you're in a residential house, right? And I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, you can still get free installation. It'll be this price. They call me up, and, it's 30-40% more than what they had quoted me at. I said, why is this so much? And they're like, oh, well, we got to glue it down, blah, blah, blah. And, got to charge the labor. I was like, whoa, wait. You guys, the lady specifically said as long as it's a house, they wouldn't charge me for the labor. They're like, yeah, she was wrong. This is just basically what they said.
Yeah.
Summarize it. I'm like, well, what the fuck? I wouldn't be so upset if it was just a misunderstanding on my part or if she, didn't kind of put two and two together. But no, she specifically said, since it's a house, you'll get the free installation. Anyway, so I had to go back down there, pick out another one, and so I pick out another carpet, and they're like, okay, it's going to be this much, which is double the original price that the first lady had quoted me, and more than if I would have just stuck with the commercial carpet and pay the labor.
Yeah. And
I didn't put that two and two together, because I had went down there, did my due diligence, picked out carpet, and done it all. And then when I was leaving, I was like, wait, fuck, I should have just paid for the labor and paid less. So anyway, they just put me full on tilt and, some shady maybe some shady businesses. I feel like I got baited and switched, which is something sleazy former Best Buy managers would never ever do. And anyway, Home Depot, you let me down.
Hey, hold on. I do have a tilt now. This, your Home Depot story brings this one back to my mind. I have a monitor, right? So for work, I use my laptop, and then I usually have just a monitor that I hook up to so I can have two screens, right? So my monitor has been having power cord issues. Maybe not power cord, but like the connector is having issues. Like it's loose or something. It just doesn't stay there. So it turns off all the time. Hardly stays on. So it's an Asus brand monitor. A decent monitor. It's one of their like gaming monitors. And we've had it for like a year and a half now. Asus says it has a manufacturer warranty till 2023. So I go on their website and I'm like trying to create like an online like warranty thing where like they give me the shipping label and I just have to send it to them and they'll fix it kind of thing. They don't do that. I put in the serial number and they pop up and say, you need to call Best Buy. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I don't have a problem with that. We have a Best Buy like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. So I call Best Buy, make a Geek Squad appointment, and I go in there Saturday, take my monitor, take the power cord. I even take an HDMI cable so that they can plug in and see like, does this work? What gets it to not work? Well, I get there and the monitor doesn't turn on, right? So kind of irritating. But it still clearly shows the problem, right? That there's a power issue. But the Geek Squad agent was probably the laziest Geek Squad agent I've ever come across, to be honest. No. And he didn't even try anything. He literally just plugged it in. It didn't turn on, and then he like turned me away.
It's like, I can't do anything with this.
Yeah, that's essentially what he said. And he didn't try to enter like any of the information. He didn't try to look it up or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I do have to say, being here in Idaho, I miss not being able to go to some of the people that I know throughout San Diego that work at Best Buy and
getting the white glove treatment
and get helped. So now I'm going to have to call Asus and try to get their, customer support or whatever and find out what I need to do. But yeah, that was pretty frustrating. About half an hour on Saturday.
Warranties are bullshit. I would say the chances of whatever company that you're buying it from actually fulfilling the warranty are less than 50%. That's why it's probably a good idea to buy it from retailers that have excellent customer service and shit. Yeah, I feel for you there, man. I always, whenever they ask like for an extended warranty, I'm like, no, fuck you. If it breaks, I'll pay somebody to fix it. Like,
well, I've normally had good experience with Best Buy, right? I worked there. I saw a lot of warranty like stuff come in, especially for TVs and stuff like that. So like I always kind of recommended them because people would break, like their TV would break. They had Geek Squad protection, and they would just get a new TV. So like I don't dislike the Best Buy warranties, but this one, it's not a Best Buy warranty. It's the warranty through Asus.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of where I'm at in like limbo. Like Asus didn't seem to want to, do a whole lot right away. And Best Buy, at least the one gentleman I talked to, didn't seem to want to do anything. So, kind of frustrating there.
Get dick, Lib. That's the message to take away from this one. My other tilt. So, Sunday was just freaking wild. It started with a Formula One race, which we'll get into, which was just insane. And then, so we scheduled the Gymboree class at 10 o'clock, which was the same kickoff time as the Chargers, 10 Pacific for those in multiple time zones. And I had too much caffeine on an empty stomach. The Formula One race got the juices going, got that adreno going. My T levels were only slightly below average at this point, which is high for me. And then go to Gymboree, and it's just, okay, so my daughter, like, we have to get her ready, and she doesn't want to eat fast now. She takes like an hour 15 minutes to eat. And so I'm like trying to basically force feed her, and she's not having it. And so like that's stressing me out because the pressure's on. Like she doesn't eat right. The whole day's in jeopardy, right? We're off schedule. So that's got me like tilting there. Like daughter won't eat. Then we go to Gymboree, have a blast. She absolutely dominates the floor. She's ripping balls from kids and like just snatching their souls out. You can tell like they haven't really had that much adversity in their life. And my daughter, she's from the street and we tilt nonstop. So, she's just grabs life by the scruff of the neck, and she was just jacking balls from toddlers. They didn't even know what hit them. And they had like a basketball hoop, and she's just, buckets. She's just wet nonstop, just like draining it. And anyway, then like parachute time comes up. She's like front and center. These are my bubbles. They start shooting the bubbles all off over the place, and she's like, posturing, like bodying people out, boxing them out and shit. So we had a good day on the floor. She was the first one there, last one to leave. You name it, she checked all the boxes. Nice. So yeah, I'm riding high. Then check the Chargers score. It's 7-0. Chargers on the road in Kansas City. I have no idea what happened. Listen to it, get in the car, flip on the radio, it's 14-0 Chargers. I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then, so we go out to lunch, not a sports bar, so there's no TV. I get it on my phone, watch that, just kind of like tilting the whole time, trying to do the family shit while like paying attention to this, massively important, September football game. And yeah, anyway, so the Chargers win. So, T levels are up. And then, like, in the process of moving, trying to help out my, soon-to-be ex. Rest in peace, that relationship. But I'm helping her out. It's where my daughter lives. So I'm helping her, like, baby-proof shit. Like, so anyway, get over there, and I'm just, like, drilling holes nonstop while trying to, defend off a kid who's, like, just in full-on assault mode. And like I have a second cup of coffee and I still haven't eaten that much. And then, so I think my heart rate was probably at like 80 to 90 for like 10 hours and all like the crazy football that I was kind of half keeping an eye on. And, I don't know, man, but my resting heart rate has been as low as like 47, 46 or something when I'm running on the reg. When we had the COVID thing, I just checked it, and it got down to like 55 or something. But I haven't been exercising as much. But anyway, so yeah, man, I was just like on edge the whole freaking Sunday, and it probably did some damage. Yeah, I know. Yeah, super tilting. And the other thing, Rob versus Time. I don't know. Have you had? Well, you're younger. You're a Zoomer, but like I think I mentioned a few shows ago where at the start of the F1 races, how frantic they are, and same thing for this week in Russia. It just looks. I just can't fathom the decision making and all that to keep the cars straight. And I was rewatching some of the old ones. I was like, wait, it's about the same. The cars are a little smaller, but they're still pretty frantic. Like, what is this? And then I was watching the Dallas Philly game last night, right? There was a Monday night game. And there was a play that broke down. Like, Dak was supposed to hand it off, and the running back went to the wrong side. Nobody was there. And so he just, like, kind of ran and went down for, like, a yard gain or a 2-yard gain or something. And it just looks so fast, and I'm watching it on a stream. I was like, is this fast forwarded? Like, what's going on here? And then I realized it's me. My brain, it's slowing down. I can't process this as fast as I used to. And so I was like, shit. Like, you're definitely getting old now. I'm like the old man screaming, "Slow down!"
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, so like that's a whole nother level of of aging. So yeah, man, and like on the freeway, there's just cars everywhere. So I really am that guy though. Is that what the kids say? 100% that guy, that dude.
Okay, Marcellus Wiley.
Yeah, that I guess that doesn't work. All right, let's get into sports, shall we?
Let's go.
I'm tilting enough. So yeah, we already said rest in peace, Padres. The real postseason chase or pennant race was the friends we made along the way. I selfishly want to start with the Chargers game. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, because I think we see the ending completely different, but go for it.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, Chargers on the road. They got some breaks early on. I mean, I got to talk about the freaking no-look interception where Mahomes had the Chiefs driving on their first possession. They were inside the red zone. Mahomes runs out. He's looking right. He no-look passes across the middle of the field is tight end, I think, backup tight end or
one of them.
Yeah, it's one of the
not Kelsey,
not Kelsey, not Hill, some not Hardman, an ancillary piece on the in the footnotes of the Chiefs roster. Totally thrown off. It skips off his hands, and Asante Samuel, rookie, just makes a diving interception that, I mean, it was just insane. And I mean, the Chargers like go 3 and out after they get the ball, but like, I don't know, just like, is Mahomes a meme? Am I using meme right? By the way, I've seen this more broad use of meme, and it's kind of confusing me.
That's because you're a boomer.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what the hell, man? If like Jameis Winston did that, it would, you know what I mean? But since
Jameis Winston did that and threw a touchdown.
Bro, sure. I wanted to talk about that play. That play was ridiculous too.
This was just, it was Mahomes being Mahomes and his player. I don't know if he just wasn't quite ready for it or what, but
he definitely wasn't ready.
Obviously not a great pass, but it was far from a terrible pass, and it should have been caught. Like, it hit him right in both hands, went right between them, and Samuel, to his credit, made an amazing defensive play, diving and catching that ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, this was an interception that shouldn't have been an interception. But it was one of the many mistakes the Chiefs made on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, tone it down a little bit, Patrick. Like, we get it, man. We get it. Okay. Like, anyway, also another note, Tony Romo, he kept mentioning that the wind, like anytime something happened, like a bad pass or something, he's just like, oh yeah, it must be the wind. Oh, they're going for it here because of the wind. And just the wind being an excuse for anything is just my favorite thing ever, because you can't really
dispute it.
Yeah, you can't dispute it because it's invisible. And right. So I would just like to go on record to say that the wind is the reason that my 2 marriages have failed.
Oh man. Yeah, the wind is a tough one. I've heard differing accounts that like anything over 15 miles an hour matters, anything over 20 miles an hour matters. I think it's just tough. I think it depends on the player. But the wind definitely matters and bothers some guys, doesn't bother other guys as much, but it shouldn't be blamed for everything.
Yeah. And so for the sake of time, not to go into like the specifics of how the game unfolded, but the Chargers had a lead, 14-0. Then the Chiefs scored 17 unanswered, and then it kind of went back and forth. There were some lead changes down the stretch. The important thing was the Chargers, they had the ball in the 2-minute drill. It was 3rd and 4, and I think they converted it, and it was, they false started. So it was 4th and 9, and it would have been a long field goal. So they're like, fuck it, we'll just go for it. because of the wind, as Tony Romo said. They go for it. They throw to Guyton, who can't catch anything, and he, shocker, does not catch the ball. Kind of interfered with. They didn't really show any replay that I saw,
It
and
was a pretty weak interference call.
It was. Yeah, like first quarter, whatever, but like fourth quarter, game on the line, like I don't know that the refs always call that. So the Chargers got a break. But, they've been on the other end of those bad breaks so many times that, what can you do? And then Jay Herbs, so they get first down. Jay Herbs finds like Mike Williams. They get down inside the 5 on the next play. And then they make I guess Herbert audibled. Like they were just going to run the ball down and then kick a field goal. But Herbert said to Mike Williams, like, watch for the fade. Basically, if you're like single covered, I'm gonna throw it to you. And he did, and he caught it. And they gave then they missed the extra point because of course they do. And they gave the ball back to Mahomes with 32 seconds. There was 2 very questionable non-calls on that final drive. Mahomes was just throwing up prayer balls. And I think on like the second to last play, they kind of tackled Tyreek Hill before the ball got there. And then on the last play, it was just a total jump ball. There was a guy basically bear hugging Tyreek Hill before the ball got there. And they don't usually call the pass interference on the Hail Marys, but to the letter of the law, when you call the Chargers or the Chiefs on the previous drive, it's just some inconsistencies. So the Chargers catch a break. They win. Dean motherfucking Spanos is on the field channeling his inner there's the guy on Atlanta. He's always down there, the owner, and then we got Jerry Jones always hovering. But on the road, fist pumping down on the field for a win against a division opponent. Look at Dean, Big Dick Dean down there. I was just like, oh, of course he's down there now. But anyway, Andy Reid left in the ambulance. Thoughts and prayers. Jeff, how do you see this game?
So I watched most of this game, and looking at the stats after the game.
Were you watching it because Tony Romo was covering it? Who, by the way,
I was watching it because I like the Chiefs.
Okay.
But
way to throw some diversity in your life.
I got
adversity.
1 and 2.
Bottom of the division.
Watching this game, the Chiefs, I thought both teams looked pretty good. After the game, looking at the box score and everything, and even during the game, you see there's 4 Chiefs turnovers to no Chargers turnovers. The penalties are roughly the same. You look at the total yards, the first downs, the total plays. The Chiefs kind of dominated all of those type of things. They held the ball for 5 more minutes. It felt like a close game that the Chiefs should have won, but they made too many mistakes in the turnovers. Right? It's hard to win a game when you have 4 turnovers or 3 turnovers, whatever it is. Yeah, 4 turnovers. It's hard to win games when you have 4 and the other team has none. But I think where I view the ending extremely differently than you do, while I think that it was nice to see the Chargers actually be aggressive. And I think, because with Phillip Rivers, so many times we saw them just settle for field goals, and not just field goals. We saw them settle for long field goals. Right. Uh-huh. But I think a game later in the day kind of showed why you don't do what Herbert and did is, they go down and they score the touchdown. It's 24-24, and then they score with 30-something seconds left to go ahead by a touchdown, right? But then they subsequently miss the extra point. Now they've given maybe the best quarterback in the league 30 seconds to go down and beat you, right? And I just don't think you even give him that opportunity when a field goal wins you the game, right? Or you don't even have to go and kick a field goal. You can still go for the touchdown, but get the touchdown with 15 seconds left instead of 30,
Yeah.
right? I just don't think giving an elite quarterback over 30 seconds is just too much time. And we saw that. Like, if the Chiefs get a call at the end of that game, maybe they're throwing a 15-yard pass for the win at the end instead of a 50-yard pass. You know what I mean? So that was my only issue with it. And like, I talked to my dad, who's a big Charger fan, and I said, if I'm the Chargers head coach, I don't like berate Herbert for making a call like that or anything. I just pull him aside, maybe in practice this week, and say, hey, dude, I love the aggressiveness, but let's try not to give these elite quarterbacks the ball back, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Here's your problem. Here's the main problem with your take. You're not a Charger fan, so you've not suffered the crippling losses. You don't. I'm old enough to remember as a Charger fan, one of the few ones that remain. I am old enough to remember when Phillip Rivers botched a kneel down. He botched a kneel down to run the timeout to kick a field goal. So I'm just saying, going for the end zone, first and goal from like the 5 was absolutely the right call, because they would have 100% found some way to mess up a 20-yard field goal. There would have been something, illegal shift. I don't know what the hell would have happened. They would have went for it. They would have went for the fade on second down or third down, and I don't know, it would have got intercepted, or it got a friggin' Herbert would have taken a 20-yard loss, or they would hike the ball over his head. Something would have happened. It always does. But these are not your father's Chargers. These are the Justin Herbert Chargers. The Chargers that, with 6 minutes left, and they got the ball in Washington at like the 5-yard line, they drove it down inside the 10 of Washington and held the ball. Washington never got the ball back in a one-score game. They made some freaking stupid moves. They had 2 illegal shifts, and they had another touchdown call back from an illegal shift. I don't know what to do. I was trying to think of something for the show to come up with. If the Chargers have, another touchdown taken away by an illegal shift, I don't know, like mainline estrogen or something to bring my T levels even lower. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything. I'm not going to threaten you guys by saying I'll do it in the nude, because nobody wants to see that. But anywho, like 100%, you are football right. 100%, you are Chargers fan base wrong, because they would have fucked it up.
That's why I do say, like, I did like that they were aggressive, right? I don't dislike that they went for that touchdown and all that. It was just like, if they were playing if it was against the Redskins, I probably fully support it, because the Redskins
the Washington football team, sir, the R words.
Oh yeah, the football team. They're not going 75 yards to score with 30 seconds. But my thought was, we've seen the Chiefs do this. We've seen Mahomes do this. Like, this isn't anything new for a team like that, right? So that was my bigger issue, was like, take into account who you're playing and don't give them the ball back unless you have to, kind of thing. But I did like the aggressiveness.
Yeah, samesies. I mean, Staley might be getting a little reckless with some of his fourth down calls, but
no, never go for fourth down every time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Why the fuck not? The Chargers can't kick the ball. If you're over the 50, like, why punt it? Just let's just do this. Battle first place, Chargers Raiders next week. Jeff, I mean, easy transition to the Raiders. They keep winning these ridiculous games. Went to overtime with, who did they play? Miami? I can't remember. Yeah, the two lists. Miami Dolphins went to overtime. It was almost a tie. It was really rooting for a tie. They win on a Daniel Carlson, not related, field goal. Jeff, Raiders, they keep winning these games. Are they a team of destiny? Definitely not asking that tongue in cheek.
I don't believe so. I think the Raiders are closer to the Steelers last year in that they kind of just winning these games, but they're really not a very good team. If we remember correctly, I think the Steelers last year went like 12-4 or 11-5, but they started the year like 10-0 or 9-0 or something like that, and then were pretty bad the rest of the way. And if I remember right, I was saying last year the Steelers weren't nearly as good as their record indicated. I believe the same thing about the Raiders. They beat the Ravens, who are a decent team, but are struggling because of injuries. They beat the Steelers, who have a I don't even know what to call Big Ben back there, but he threw the ball 19 times to a running back. So they have their own issues. And then they beat the Miami Dolphins without their quarterback. And I think I'd feel better if they were like beating these teams down, but they're not. I think they beat the Steelers decently, but the Ravens game was fairly close until the end. This Dolphins game went to overtime. I'm not convinced they're a good team. I think they're probably average, and they might end up as a 10-win team this year because they've won these games when maybe they shouldn't have. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers win by 2 touchdowns next week. I think the Chargers are a pretty good team. I don't think the Raiders are.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Monday Night Football next week. So in the Rams' house. It's definitely there's gonna be a lot of Raider fans there. Just thought about that. Anywho, so yeah, that'll be a fun one. Everybody, I'm sure, will be memeing or tweeting. I'm just gonna start calling everything a meme just to cover my bases. They'll be memeing about how that there are no Charger fans in LA, which it's like, okay, like what point are you making? Like yes. There are no Charger fans in LA. Like, okay, you got us. Anyway, so yeah, that was my selfish Charger segment. Your Browns, they took care of business. What are they, 2-1 as well?
Yeah.
Who'd they lose to?
The Chiefs, week 1.
Oh, well, there you go. And that was a close game, and they controlled it for the most part. So,
yep. Chiefs could realistically be 0-3 right now. The Browns did to the Chiefs what the Chiefs did to the Chargers, and that the Browns just had too many turnovers to win that game, especially when it mattered. And the Chiefs did the same thing, had a couple turnovers in the second half.
Yeah.
And in the first. So
yeah, I've been thinking about that, and just with the NFL, there's so much parity, and I think that's what makes the game so great. If one call isn't made or one play goes a different way, you can make a case for a lot of teams being able to win or lose games based on that. Like the Chargers, they're 2-1. They could easily be 0-3. They could easily be 3-0. They could be 1-2. They could be any. Those games could have all gone one way or another, and I think that's true for a lot of teams. But the reason why I brought it up, we have the Mixer Bowl coming up. 2 weeks from now. So get ready. It's gonna be a battle.
I've already beat you once this year, so.
Are we counting that NFL league? Was it the NFL league?
We're both in it, so and we played week 1. You're 0-3. You've lost to my whole family so far.
It's a 10-team league, dude, and I don't know. My team is objectively awesome. It's just not happening. Anyway.
I actually kind of believe that, but
yeah,
you're 0-3 with a loss to me in week 1 and a loss to Samantha in week 3.
Yeah. Whatever. Football's weird. Shit happens. I'm not tilting that at all, but need to start getting some wins. Week 3 was just crazy. Really delivered for the 3 brand, for the Thrand. We'll have to workshop that too. Justin Tucker, 66-yard field goal for the win, hit the bar and win in against Detroit in Detroit. Rest in peace, Lions fans. That was wild. Aaron Rodgers just ripped the heart out of all the liberal Santa Claritans in Cupertino or wherever the hell that stadium is. It's definitely not, anywhere near San Francisco. Just thoughts and prayers for the Niners fans out there. At least you have a handsome ass quarterback.
Also,
that looks great losing.
we're going to talk about bad officiating. That 49er Packer game was officiated pretty poorly.
Was it? I was half watching that game.
There were a couple pass interference calls that either should have been called or should not have been called pretty clearly. And then there was a pretty terrible hit to Davante Adams in the second half. I think it was actually in the fourth quarter that he looked like he was out on the field. Surprised he actually finished that game, to be completely honest, because it was like helmet to helmet, defenseless receiver, and the ref did not throw a flag at all. Like it was really bad. Luckily for the Packers and for my fantasy teams, Davante was able to come back in the game and secured, I think, another like 3 or 4 catches and probably 40, 50 yards at the end of the game. But yeah, it was pretty bad officiating. I'm of the belief that in every sport we should have human officials. Mistakes happen, and we should just kind of learn to live with them because they even out over time, and they do low key make things more exciting. But when we're talking about like the safety of players and stuff like that, like those are things officials can't miss. So part of me wants like an official up in the booth to just be able to radio down and be like, hey dude, you need to throw a flag. Like that was a pretty terrible play. Yeah. Because we see those every once in a while. I'm referring to the Davante Adams one, where the Niners safety comes over, isn't really making a play on the ball at all. Like he's not looking at the ball. He's just trying to hit Davante Adams, which is fine. It's a football play for the most part, except that Davante Adams is fully horizontal to the ground and can't do anything to protect himself, right? And it's something that the NFL has emphasized multiple times in multiple years. So to miss a play like that is pretty terrible. And it potentially put Davante Adams out of the game. Now, luckily, like I said, he came back. But I do think there should be some sort of – I'm not the biggest fan of replay with the way it's implemented because it takes so long sometimes. Some of these replay reviews take 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, which with all the commercials already, I'm not trying to wait for replay. So just throw somebody in the booth, let them call down, make the call and be like, hey, this is what happened. You need to throw a flag or you need to do this kind of thing. I think I'd rather do that instead of robot umpires or whatever.
Right. I'm all about robo umps, lasers. I mean, let's just go full send on the machines. I don't need to see the freaking zebras running around there anymore. I'm tired of them. Okay, good to know. Good to know some context with that game. Props to Aaron Rodgers. 37 seconds left.
And no timeouts.
Yeah. And I mean, what can you do? He made some perfect throws to Davante Adams. Like, I think the first one got him into San Francisco territory. Like, just 40 yards pass over the middle. It was just perfectly thrown, but like he just found the soft spot in the middle of the field. It's like, of course.
Yeah, well, San Francisco was doing something that they thought was to their advantage, but wasn't. So, like, in NFL,
were they playing the fucking sideline?
Yeah, they were playing the prevent. Which, if they had just played prevent, they probably would have been fine. But they were playing prevent and like sideline prevention, so they completely gave up the middle of the field, forgetting that all NFL players, regardless of whether it's an offensive lineman or a wide receiver, can all pretty much get to the line in like 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So you take 5 seconds from 37, and then you add another 5 to get everyone up there, and you're losing like 10 seconds of play, right? But when you're gaining 30 yards, it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty much what happened is San Francisco just kind of gave Aaron and Davante too much room in the middle, and maybe they just didn't think Green Bay would be able to get up and spike the ball or whatever, but that was pretty stupid considering every team probably knows how long it takes to get everyone back to the line of scrimmage and spike a ball. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was a terrible play calling at the end of the game. They should have not cared about the sideline and just worried about covering guys, to my view. But
yeah, it was, I mean, Aaron Rodgers. what can you do, man? What can you do? 10 out of 10 meme by Mason, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I hit up Mason Sunday night, and we have multiple 49er fans in our group, right? And I found a few pictures of them all in not all in 49er gear, but some of them. And it's the Packer fan with all the Cowboy fans behind him, and I just got Mason to Photoshop in a few people. So that was a pretty solid. But something that I found surprising in regards to the 49ers, because I do think Shanahan is a decent coach, but the 49ers are one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to like kicking decisions or fourth down decisions, which really surprises me for someone like Shanahan, who seems to be on top of like trends and stuff like that and how to use players. So you, at least in my mind, I would think he'd probably be on top of that kind of stuff too. But, I shared a couple win probability charts, and the 49ers actually lose the most win probability this year by kicking in fourth down situations. So I found that to be pretty interesting. And I saw somebody else tweeted yesterday, I think it was, that Kyle Shanahan actually has a negative win probability as a head coach since 2017. And that it's very minorly negative. It's like negative 0.17 or something like that. And that's probably affected by a lot of the injuries they've had to Garoppolo and stuff like that. But all surprising considering how good of an offensive coach he is.
Yeah. Yeah, my heart just goes out to Niners fans.
Mine doesn't.
I have a bunch of bets on them to be Super Bowl ready, so or to be Super Bowl contenders, make it to the Super Bowl. So Chargers Niners, let's party like it's '94 again, and that'd be fun. That'd be lit, as the kids say. But it doesn't look like you're going to be able to get it done with Garoppolo. So maybe fire up that Trey Lance sweetness, and let's let it rip. Speaking of let it rip, Jameis Winston somehow has like 300 total yards passing and 7 touchdowns. His game lines are just hilarious, and he continues to be hilarious. He had the falling down, stumbling, just prayer ball that somehow his wide receiver wrestled away, which was just, peak Jameis. I heard somebody, I think it was on Pardon My Take, again, keep referencing them. They have better jokes than us. Definitely don't go listen to them unless you listen to us, because we're derivative probably from them. Anyway, you're giving away our secrets. But somebody on that show said that Jameis Winston plays football like he's wearing an Oculus Prime. I was like, that's pretty good, because he's just like flailing around. Anyway, so yeah, Jameis never changed. The Saints won somehow against the Patriots. They freaking dominated them. Mac Jones did not look great. None of the rookie quarterbacks have looked great. Zach Wilson has. Did I say Zach Jones? Mac Jones. Yeah. More athletic Tom Brady. Not looking great. Zach Wilson, a fellow utopian like yourself. He did not do great. His Jets got shut out. Justin Fields, the aforementioned, did not look great. I'm missing one. Who's the other one?
Trevor Lawrence.
He's doing better. With Urban Meyer is just. I'm just not a fan. So
yeah, I'm not an Urban fan. Trevor looks decent. His numbers aren't particularly great, but I'm actually on board with that. Based on how he's played and like his tendencies, he's going to win someone a lot of money this year in one of these DFS weeks.
Yeah,
because there's going to be a week where he just puts it together, and like Marvin Jones has like 8 for 190, and LaVisca has like 6 for 85, and Chark has 150 for another couple of touchdowns, and because Lawrence is just throwing the ball down the field, and he's decent at completing them. So he's gonna figure it out one week and just kind of ball out, I think. But I'm not sold on that Jaguars coaching staff. The Lawrence is the only quarterback that I don't really have many questions about. He's had obviously the turnover issues, but I'd rather see that than in my personal view. I'm not a fan of what Mac Jones is doing in New England. I don't think it's all that beneficial for him. He pretty much throws everything like 5 yards or less, which is probably beneficial for the Patriots. But I don't think it's all that great for Mac Jones in terms of learning how to play football at this level. And I don't think he's bad, but I would like to see him throw the ball a little bit further occasionally.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I haven't watched enough of the Patriots, but Belichick better, he's got to figure it out at some point. Otherwise, terrific. Tom Terrific is going on and having a great time. And in Tampa Bay, there are going to be many people saying, is Belichick a fraud? Which it would be hilarious. So anyway, but yeah, the rookies are struggling, and it just really kind of points out how, again, I'm gonna show you my lightning bolt, Jeff. Sorry to the kids out there, but Herbert. I think I'm in love. I don't know if I'm ready to love again. The Chargers left, broke my heart. My second wife left, and may or may not have broken my heart. So, but J Herb's the flow. He's got the flow. Another reason why we need Trevor Lawrence to succeed. We need a quarterback with long hair to do well for the clan, for the man bun clan. But anyway, yeah, it just shows how special Justin Herbert's season was last year, and Burrow. He hasn't. Everybody thought he was going to come in and just dominate because he probably had the best season of college football probably ever of anybody at any position, with LSU in their title season. And yeah, he got injured last year, but he was still doing pretty good, and he's kind of easing his way in to this season, but he's doing pretty well. But let's just not forget how difficult it is to be an NFL quarterback or just to play in the NFL altogether. You see Jalen Hurts has kind of been up and down. So anyway, what these guys are doing is not easy, and expecting them to, Justin Fields to go out there and light it up right away is just not realistic. So hopefully we have the recent success of young quarterbacks hasn't kind of skewed us to have these unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, it probably has, to be honest, but it's one of those things that people will figure out. We go through it with running backs, with receivers, where the rookies come in and for a few years they kind of dominate, and then they kind of go away, and it just goes in cycles. It also depends on what teams guys go to, and the existing coaching staffs. But I think the rookie QBs this year will be fine. I wish San Francisco would just start Trey Lance, even though I don't think Garoppolo's bad. But I don't understand why you trade up and get a guy like that if you're going to continue to play Garoppolo personally. But
I want them to play Trey Lance so it could free up some roster spots on all my freaking fantasy teams. Get with it. Just some other notes. The Bengals, Houday, they won against the Steelers. Broncos are 3-0 somehow. They played freaking nobodies. The Rams are 3-0. Possibly the best team in the NFC. I think, what's the coach's name? McVay, right? Sean McVay?
Yeah.
Okay. I always mess him up, and then the Saints coach, I always get I question myself when I have to actually. Anyway, Vikings, Kirk Cousins, after going down 17-0 against the Seahawks, I think they beat them 30-17. Cowboys won. We already talked about the Packers won, but yeah, the NFL, there's parity. AFC best, and the Chiefs are in last place. Yeah, that's a macro look. I'm excited for week 4. When did the bye start? Do you know when the bye start? Is that week 5?
Like 5 or 6, I think.
All right. Well, we got 18 weeks this year, so anytime somebody loses a close game, in my head, I'm just like, whatever. There's an extra game, they'll make it up. Like, anyway, let's move on because we had a Formula One race and it was freaking amazing. Jeff, you good on time?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So we had the Formula One race, Russian Grand Prix, Sochi. It's like where the headquarters for the Olympics were a few years ago, the Winter Olympics, which is weird because it's like a summer resort town. However, with the rain and shit, you can see the mountains in the background with like clouds laying on them, and there's like little bits of snow. So it was actually pretty epic scenes. Verstappen took an engine penalty, so he started from the back of the grid. We had rain during qualifying, so we had Lando on pole, and who was second? Was Sainz second, and then Russell was third, and then Hamilton was fourth. So we had a mixed up grid. Hamilton was still the favorite, the betting favorite. I hit you with like the betting odds before the race. I threw some shekels on. Actually, I bet pretty heavy on Lando to win because he had plus odds and he was starting from pole. And when I placed the bet, it looked like it was going to be wet conditions. So I figured as long as the conditions were consistent, like the McLaren's been pretty damn good. It's like no pushover. So,
Right.
Plus odds, it was like plus 285 too. It wasn't just like it was like plus 150 or something. It was pretty heavy. And then like Lewis was minus 120 from fourth. And so I was like, well, like it worked for me last week or 2 weeks ago when I just bet McLaren to win and it hit. So like just double down. Actually, like I think I like multiplied my original like $2 bet on McLaren by like 10, put a whopping $20 on. But
There you go.
anyway, and I mean the race was crazy. We didn't have rain to start it, but there was a threat of rain. They said it was going to come late. And what do you know? It came late. And I mean, there was some stuff that happened during. There was definitely action throughout the whole race with Hamilton trying to work his way, back up to the front. He had Verstappen charging through. Russell was in there. There was a lot going on. And a lot of mixed strategies. It was a race for the F1 sickos, is what I told you, and that's the second time I've used sickos. It was a meme of a race.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, the action really started popping off when the rain came around like lap 45, 46. Everybody was on the slicks, and it was just raining enough in certain parts of the track to be annoying. I don't know what any of the fucking corners are in this track besides the one that goes around the flags, which I thought was at the end of the lap, but it's at the beginning of the lap because every corner in this track looks the same. That's why I hate this track. Like, there's nothing really interesting about it, and it all looks the same. Usually Hamilton wins.
I wasn't a huge fan of the track per se.
Yeah.
It did present some interesting like passing opportunities for guys, especially there were more than a few like real late breaking passes that happened early in laps. But the track itself was kind of meh, but the race was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was more legitimate passing this race, even in the dry.
Well, it also helped
Go ahead.
You had Verstappen in 20th, Leclerc at 19, Bottas at 16 or 17, right?
Yeah.
Like you had guys that shouldn't be that far back. You also always have Alonso, Vettel, Raikkonen, who always get up early, right? They're real good at the beginning of races. So it just presented a lot more opportunities. Hamilton dropped to 7th, I think, at the start, and then made it back to 6th or 5th. And I read his thing after the race. He was just trying not to get taken out early because the beginning of the race in Sochi with such a long run or whatever gets kind of hectic, I think, is more or less how he described it. But yeah, it was a lot of passing, I think, because of the unique situation where 3 or 4 teams took engine penalties, right? So you had all that. But yeah. I love
reverse
it.
grids, reverse grid races. Like, let's just get weird. That's probably a horrible idea for Formula One, but yeah, I agree with you. So there were some extenuating circumstances that maybe kind of artificially made the race more interesting than it should have been. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just how the season's unfolded. It's like a snowball. All the crazy shit that's happened over the years with all these accidents that if teams were playing it safe wouldn't have happened, and it's all just because there's like a legitimate title race, and that's what makes it. That's just what's making this season so awesome. But back to the action. So around lap 47, 48, starts to spit. Hamilton closes down on Lando, and they got guys in the pits kind of trying to do the dummy, acting like they're going to come in. They don't come in. Conflicting radio message where Hamilton's radio saying box, 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 and they send the guys out there, and like Hamilton doesn't go in, so obviously it's like a decoy.
Well,
But
Hamilton got on the radio and said no that lap.
Okay.
And then I think they ended up bringing Valtteri in that lap.
Okay. Well, anywho, around lap 50, on lap 50, Hamilton decides to pit, and the running order at this time was Lando in the lead on the hard tire, Perez in third on the mediums, Alonso fourth on the mediums, Leclerc fifth, who also started from the back of the grid on the mediums, Vettel in sixth on the hard, who got it coming together with his teammate, which, I mean, nice guy, Mr. Vettel, going full send again, maybe against team orders, but whatever. Like, I like Vettel. I'm just saying, like, everybody makes him out to be an angel. He's got a little more of a Verstappen in him than I would love to see. Speaking of Verstappen, he was one of the first ones to go on intermediate tires, and at this point he's in seventh on intermediates, followed by Carlos Sainz. So like at this point, Hamilton is the only one who's pitting for intermediates. Any one of those top six drivers, if they would have made the right call, would have had a legitimate shot for a podium, if not even, the win. But Hamilton seems like he made the absolute optimal call. Maybe Verstappen timed it exactly right because he ends up finishing second. But I mean, Lando he stayed out one lap too many. He couldn't finish the next lap without going off the track. I think he ended up finishing like eighth or something. Verstappen finished second. Who finished third? Carlos Sainz from eighth on lap 50 to third. And Verstappen from seventh on lap 50. There was only 53 laps in the race to second. So Hamilton, what's the title scoring right now?
Hamilton's up by like 3 or something like that.
Yeah. So in a weekend when we thought, Hamilton was going to be able to get a significant lead, because Verstappen took the engine penalty and started from the back of the grid, maybe targeting like top 5. Instead Verstappen minimizes the damage, finishes second. So good call by Red Bull.
Red Bull and Max really got bailed out by the rain. They had, in my opinion, completely screwed up Max's tire strategy, because Max had nothing by about lap 40 or 35 or something like that. Like, Perez passed him, Alonso passed him. Max couldn't even really fight. He was probably going to struggle to stay in the top 7. And then they, he was staying around, hanging around, and like you said, he was in 7th or whatever on lap 50. And the rain comes in, and he was, like you said, one of the first to switch, and that allowed him to move back up. But Red Bull had really, I think, kind of cost him the opportunity to finish top 5. And then obviously they made it back up with just taking the risk and pitting him early to switch tires at the end for the intermediates. Same with Valtteri. Valtteri was 12th. And ended up fifth, right?
Mm.
So he had a pretty big come up because of the intermediates.
Yeah. Wild ending when we have the mixed conditions. It reminded me of, I mean, I can't remember another race like that than 2008 Spa. There's been some races at Monaco where it kind of sprinkles late, which have gotten it crazy. But yeah, I mean, none of them like that where you have a guy who's never won a race leading and then just ripped out from his hands. Really sad. I mean, I felt for Lando. I was gutted. I was watching the race late because I made the freaking mistake. I swear I always check to make sure I know what time it is, and I set my alarm. And I thought it said it was a 6 o'clock start. Apparently, it was maybe 5 o'clock. I wake up, I flip it on, and it's on like lap 23, and Perez is leading. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I was like, rewind. I'm not going to go on social media. I'm going to finish this thing. And yeah, I mean, it was worth that commitment, but goddamn, it's such a rookie move. You gotta, rule number one of being an F1 fan is you gotta know what time the race is. Turkish Grand Prix is the next race, Sunday, October 10th, not this weekend, but next weekend. Love Turkey. It's not like a beautiful track as far as like the surroundings, but I mean, it is a racer's track. That track is awesome. Last year was kind of crazy because I think we had rain and they brought tires that were too hard. So we'll see. We'll see if they get the tires right this year, but it should be a fun one. And then they come to the U.S. after that, and then they have the Mexican Grand Prix. So we still got a lot of fun for the season. Red Bull's in second in the constructors within about 20 points or so, and it is a 2-point spread between Hamilton and Verstappen. Hopefully Hamilton can get some good results here and distance himself, because I mean, it does seem like the Red Bull has a better car right now. So yeah, I mean, that wraps up Formula One, unless you got anything to add to that, Jeff.
I don't.
Cannot wait for the Drive to Survive. It's gonna be hell of a season. Hopefully they focus on the title race, because usually they're focusing on like, this is, this guy, like, he likes to play fucking hacky sack. Bottas likes to go into Norwegian saunas naked. It's like, all right, well, like, rule number one, we don't kink shame, but like, it's kind of weird, bro. Anyway, so yeah, hopefully like this season, now that we know all the guys, like maybe Giovinazzi finally gets an episode, because I don't think he ever has, and I mean, he's got amazing hair. So anyway, like, I don't know where I'm going with that, but like, Drive to Survive editors, I mean, we're probably like, one of the 3 podcasts that are actually putting out content about Formula One, which is, complete. But I mean, if we can be Drive to Survive influencers, that would be my message, is to memify Drive to Survive to be actually about the championship race. that would be great. Have you watched the Schumacher documentary yet?
I did.
Oh, so good.
I enjoyed it.
Oh man, really pulled on the heartstrings there. So yeah, I mean, how could you not be romantic about Formula One? All right, let's get out of here, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
I didn't lose. You didn't lose. Well, I mean, I lost in leagues that don't matter.
Exactly.
Chargers didn't lose. Lando lost. Lando lost on Sunday. PF Chang's to Lando. And yeah, let's get out of here.